What is it that you carry around? The other day, I was walking into a breathwork session. It's the third session I've been to, and every time I go, it's this, beautiful perspective shift, this necessary recalibration. So I was super excited about this one. My friend Lindsay Bell was putting it on, and at some point during the session, she said these words: just because you care doesn't mean you need to carry it. And might not have been the exact words, I'm paraphrasing, but want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. And I'm laying there on my back, focusing on breath and, couldn't really think at the moment. But I said to myself, come back to this later because it sounds profound and I bet you'll be glad that you did. And I did come back to it later, and I'm very grateful that I did. See, one of the things that I took from the breathwork session was calm. It was managing my day-to-day, dealing with adversity, trying to keep it all together as I say yes and step into more responsibility. All that, in my world, it becomes tension. Even when I don't realize it, I carry it in my shoulders, in my muscles. I get tension headaches. Just carry it around physically. And so, perfect example. I was almost late getting to the session. My car's telling me that my back rear tire has 12 PSI. I'm putting air in it. It's deflating. I'm like, do I need to patch it? Worst case scenario, am I getting a new tire? Is it okay? Is it going to explode on the road? All these things, right? So I drive it almost flat to the place and I run in. And, it's just one thing among many on my mind, right? 8 videos to make. I have a keynote speech in 2 days at a conference. All these things are sort of playing back and forth in my brain. And I lay down. I notice my body is literally pulsating. And I don't mean literally in the sense that's been, hijacked recently. I mean literally, truly vibrating on the floor. And I'm just having a conversation with myself. It's like, you think there are obstacles and challenges out there. This right here is your adversary. This is something you need to solve for. It almost felt like I was losing the plot, right? It's like, this can't be the baseline I exist on. Sometimes navigating, higher and lower, but that being normal. Like, that type of tension should not be normal. Even though, I have things going on, despite the ambitions, despite the change, it's like you need to remind yourself that life is a game. And in the grand scheme of things, none of this, like 0% of it, matters. This is a little side quest to gain some perspective here. It's funny, when the small things start to feel like the big things, we're often too far in the weeds, right? We need to pull ourselves up and, see the garden again in its totality. And so just moving back to the breath, separating myself from everything was amazing. And as I took a walk later that night, Lindsay's saying, just because you care doesn't mean you need to carry it, became more and more profound. I think the missing link there, and what it helped me, in a sense, rediscover, is that everything comes back to trust. You can care about not getting a flat in the middle of the road, and by the way, you should. You should care about your work on YouTube. You should care about crushing the keynote at the conference. You should care about all those things. But you can also separate yourself from the outcome and trust that you, day by day, minute by minute, are doing everything that's required to bring that ideal outcome to life. You have to trust yourself, right? Do the thing without carrying the pressure of doing the thing. That's the goal. You can only control what you can control. And accomplishing this has been a lifelong journey, by the way. Like, sometimes I do great with it. Sometimes I temporarily lose sight of the big picture altogether. But I understand the value and the art of cutting away. And I would advocate everyone do the same. We don't have to carry the weight of those things we're working towards. We don't have to carry the weight of the expectations or the hypotheticals. We don't have to carry the weight of others' opinions or those pieces of the past that we feel like we are tied to. All of that can go. If it matters, move towards it, right? Trust your ability to navigate. Trust yourself to conquer anything that comes at you, and let that be enough. It's been a great few days since that class because I feel like, I was able to shake my life up like a snow globe. Rediscover that even with the chaos flying around, there are only a few things worthy of my attention. There's only so much I can do. It's like the metaphorical hand of God reminding me, dude, everything is going to be fine. When you simplify a necessary component of carrying less, you force yourself to ask, hey, what really matters here, right? And then, you are able to chip away at those things. And chipping away is your superpower. Like, what else can you do other than chip away at the necessary things? Nothing. And by the way, you need nothing else. So why the extra clutter? Why the chaos? Why the noise? Right? Find stillness in the simple fact that everything is going to be fine, and it's going to be fine because there's nothing you can't handle. There's nothing too big or complex for you. You might hear this and think, okay, that's obvious. That's simple. I will never cease to be amazed how it is the simple rules of life that when we let them slip away, the wheels come off the wagon. It is the simple things we need to harness and keep by our side. Simple is the sun around which everything else revolves. Don't carry the weight of what can't be altered. Instead, fall in love with the current moment. Be proud of the trust you have in yourself. Know that the pieces will fall where they're meant to. And they'll fall where they're meant to because rather than being chained to their outcome, you freed yourself. You focused instead on the brushstroke being painted in real time. That is how a masterpiece comes to life. The freedom to care about the portrait without carrying the pressure contained in its materialization. Care, but don't carry.